Imagine spending 27 years in a prison cell, no freedom, no sunlight, no family. Nothing but four walls and a burning belief that one day things would change, most people would break, most people would give up. Most people would walk out of that prison as a broken man with nothing left to give. But one man walked out of that prison and became the president of the very country that locked him away. This is the story of Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. And I promise you, by the time this video ends, you will never complain about your circumstances again. Nelson Mandela was born on July 18, 1918 in the small village of Mvezo in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. His father was a chief of the Thembu people. From birth, Mandela was surrounded by leaders, by stories of his ancestors who fought for their land and their dignity. As a young boy, he sat in on tribal meetings and watched elders resolve disputes with wisdom and patience. Those early lessons shaped everything that came after. He was the first in his family to attend school. His teacher gave him the English name Nelson. He went on to study law, not just to build a career, but to build a weapon. Because in South Africa at that time, the law was being used as a tool of oppression, and Mandela intended to use that same tool to fight back. In 1948, the South African government officially introduced apartheid, a system of racial segregation so brutal, so dehumanizing, that the world could barely believe it was real. Black South Africans could not vote, could not live where they wanted, could not walk freely in their own country. They were second-class citizens in the land of their ancestors. Mandela refused to accept it. He joined the African National Congress, the ANC, and became one of its most powerful voices. He organized protests, he led strikes, he trained as a boxer to stay sharp in body and mind. He traveled the world building support for the anti-apartheid movement, and the government watched him and feared him and eventually arrested him. In 1964, Nelson Mandela was sentenced to life imprisonment. He was taken to Robben Island, a cold, isolated prison off the coast of Cape Town, where he would spend the next 18 years breaking rocks in a limestone quarry. Think about that, a lawyer, a leader, a man of vision and intellect, breaking rocks with his hands every single day. The sun reflecting off the limestone nearly destroyed his eyesight. The cold nearly broke his body. The isolation nearly destroyed his spirit. Nearly, because inside that prison cell, Mandela did something extraordinary. He studied, he read, he wrote, he mentored fellow prisoners. He refused to let the prison define him. He told his comrades they could take his freedom, but they could not take his mind. 27 years, and he never stopped believing. On February 11, 1990, the gates of Victor Verster prison swung open. Nelson Mandela walked out. 71 years old, grey-haired, fist raised, smiling. The entire world watched. Millions wept, because this was not just a man walking free. This was a symbol. This was proof that no system of oppression, no matter how powerful, can crush the human spirit forever. But what Mandela did next shocked everyone who expected revenge. He called for peace. He called for reconciliation. He sat down with the very people who had imprisoned him and said, "We must build this country together, not as enemies, but as one nation." In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic election. Every citizen, black and white, voted for the first time. Nelson Mandela won and became the first black president of South Africa. The prisoner had become the president.
So, what can we learn from the life of Nelson Mandela? Lesson 1: Your circumstances do not determine your destiny. Mandela spent 27 years in prison and still became president. Whatever situation you are in right now, it is not the end of your story. It is just a chapter. Lesson to bitterness is a prison you build for yourself. Mandela had every reason to be angry, every reason to seek revenge. Instead, he chose forgiveness, not because he was weak, but because he understood that hatred would only continue the cycle of destruction. True strength is choosing peace when you have every right to choose war. Lesson 3: Prepare in the dark for what you will do in the light. Mandela used his years in prison to study, to think, to plan. He did not waste his waiting season. Whatever season of waiting you are in right now, use it. Grow in it, because your moment is coming. The world did not break Nelson Mandela, it built him. So, what can we learn from the life of Nelson Mandela? Lesson 1: Your circumstances do not determine your destiny. Mandela spent 27 years in prison and still became president. Whatever situation you are in right now, it is not the end of your story, it is just a chapter. If Mandela's story moved you today, drop a comment below and tell me the one lesson that hit you the hardest. And if you want more stories like this, stories of people who faced impossible odds and still rose to change the world, subscribe to RiseAfrika. We tell these stories every single week, because Africa has always produced giants. And it is time the world remembered that. I will see you in the next one.